G'day guys, and welcome to this business management lesson. In today's lesson, we're looking at key knowledge point 138. That is Unit 1, Area of Study 3, and the 8th key knowledge point for this area of study. Today specifically, we're looking at customer needs and expectations. Let's dive straight in. This is the first key knowledge point from this area of study that's dealing specifically with factors from the operating environment of business. That's different than the previous key knowledge points in this area of study that were dealing with factors from the macro environment. And I'll remind you at this juncture that both the macro and the operating environment make up what we consider the external environment of business. However, the operating environment is different from the macro environment in the sense that the factors in the operating environment have direct interactions with your business. That means that you can directly influence them and they can directly influence you. And unlike the macro environment, where you have absolutely no control over the factors in the macro environment, you have some control over factors in the operating environment. Today specifically, we're talking about customers, in the sense that you have the ability to choose whether or not you're going to sell something to a customer. You might lock your doors and go home for the day, meaning customers can't come to your business. You have some control over your customers. And in the same way that you have some control over them, they're going to have a direct impact on you, whether they choose to buy products from your business or not. Now, customers are, if you're not already aware, the people who purchase goods and services from businesses. And typically, the factors that describe whether or not a customer is interested in buying from your business comes down to whether or not you are able to provide what the customer perceives to be a good quality product at what the customer perceives to be a competitive price. Now, I've used the word perceive there twice because good quality and competitive prices is something that is in the eye of the beholder. If someone is absolutely flush with cash, if they're just rolling around in money, what they consider to be a fair price is going to be different than what someone who is a bit strapped for cash and has to be more careful with their spending options will consider a fair price. So when you're considering whether or not your prices are going to appeal to customers or whether the quality of your product is going to appeal to customers, it's important to take it into consideration that it's up to the customer's own interpretation of quality and price as to whether or not what you're providing is going to be reasonable. The last key knowledge point we talked about had to do with corporate social responsibility of macro factors. And we can apply a corporate social responsibility lens to our consideration of the external stakeholders of customers also. What you want to do in the best interests of your customers and in the best interests of creating a relationship with your customers that will entice them to come back is you want to ensure that your outputs are good quality and will be valuable to a customer who buys them. Customers who get home with the products they've bought and the product just breaks straight away or the product isn't fit for purpose, those customers aren't going to come back and buy from you again. So making sure that your products are valuable to the customer will ensure that you are creating a loyal customer base. And certainly, I said it in the last key knowledge point, I'll say it again, customers prefer to buy from businesses that reflect the customer's own values. So customers that are environmentally conscious will be more interested in purchasing from businesses that are having a positive impact on the environment, whether that be through waste minimization or investment in clean energy or similar. Or likewise, if the business is having positive interactions with the community, perhaps the local cafe sponsors your kids' primary school fete. And so next time you're in the area, you're a little bit more interested in buying a coffee from that cafe than somewhere else nearby because you can see that they're doing things for the community. Now, when it comes to how you work out what your customers need, the answer, quite simply, is market research. And you might remember studying that in Key Knowledge Point 118. If you don't remember that, well, there's a playlist on my channel. Go back and rewatch that video or go back through your notes, talk to your teacher. What a market research is and how to do it is something that you should already be familiar with. And so if you are faced with a question about the process of determining customer needs and expectations, you can lean back on that understanding to answer that question. Ultimately, though, we need to address the question of what is a customer need and how is that different from an expectation? Well, a customer need ultimately is the reason that a customer is looking to buy your product in the first place. If the product you sell them or if the service you sell your customer meets the minimum requirements that they set out to achieve, then you've met their need. Does your product or service do what the customer needs it to do? If your customer is looking for a bag because they want to be able to carry their lunch and perhaps their homework to school, then the bag that you sell them should be reliable enough and secure enough that it can do that over time. But perhaps you want a bag to take with you on a night out on the town, you want it to complement your outfit, then you want it to be resilient enough and come in a color range that is going to complement your customer's outfit. When it comes to customer expectations, these are often extraneous or extra to the need. The need is the core fundamental principles of whether or not the product or service is fit for purpose. The expectations have to do with quality, have to do with the level of customer service that the customer receives. Customer expectations might involve whether or not the product is manufactured in a socially responsible manner, or whether the supply chain is socially responsible. If these products are coming from factories, but the resources from those factories are gathered from businesses that use slavery in their own supply chains, then this product might fail to meet customer expectations, even if it still does meet customer need. And certainly, just another example, customers might expect that they have the opportunity to purchase local produce. They might be looking for Australian made or grown products. But once again, if they need a tomato for their salad, whether it's grown in Australia or not, a tomato is a tomato, so it might meet their need without meeting their expectations. Of course, we need to consider that customers are human beings, right? So sometimes situations arise where you're faced with a spike in customer need or customer expectations in an unexpected way. One example we can point to from recent history is the way in which people started panic buying toilet paper at the start of the COVID lockdown period, and supermarkets ran out of toilet paper for a period of weeks. It was a wacky thing to live through. We all know now, as we did back then pretty much, that one of the symptoms of COVID was never gastric distress. And at that time, no business, no supermarket could have been reasonably expected to foresee that customers would clean the shelves of toilet paper. So sometimes purchasing choices by customers are outside of a business's control or expectation, but at other times, if you run a business, you can probably guess what your customers want, and it would be in your best interest as a business owner to ensure that you've delivered on those customer needs and expectations. There are all sorts of different needs and expectations we could talk about, but really it depends on the case study of the business you're looking at. Some examples might include a plumber who's been called to fix a leaky tap. What the customer needs is that tap to stop leaking. What they might expect is that the plumber's not leaving dirty footprints through the house. What they might expect is that leaky tap stays fixed for a long duration after the plumber has been. The customer might also expect that the price to fix the leaky tap might be communicated before work starts, things like that. But what the customer needs is to be able to get their tap fixed for an affordable price. We could look also at the example of a pair of shoes. What a customer needs is a pair of shoes. Perhaps, let's be more specific, it's someone who likes to run for exercise. So a customer needs a pair of shoes with good arch support to support their feet while they are exercising, while they're running. What they might expect is that these products are manufactured in a way that is free from environmental or human exploitation. They might expect that the price is reasonable. They might expect that these shoes will be quite durable and last them a season or a year or two. This customer might expect that they might have options of different colors, but what they needed is a shoe that will support their foot while they run. And so whether your business leans into catering for customer expectations or whether your business is prioritizing customer needs, is decisions that you will need to face as a business manager who is involved in planning. And really, it's up to you as you plan your business whether or not you're going to prioritize these needs and expectations. And if you do this well, you can expect that your customers will be satisfied and come back to your business time and time again. And you have to expect also that if you make erroneous decisions in this area, that you might actually be losing customer interest. And if your customers are dissatisfied with the products they have purchased from you, or maybe they didn't even purchase them from you, maybe they came into your store, looked at the options and left again because you just weren't meeting their needs, or maybe you weren't meeting enough of their expectations. In that case, you are actually pushing customers away and you're failing to capitalize on the interest that that customer showed you, or that potential customer showed you. So, customer needs and expectations, work out what they want from your business, implement plans to deliver what they want from your business, and you will have sales to customers who will return to your business. That's all for today. See you next time.